Welcome, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between. You know how we do around here. Grab your vices, chill out, and let's get straight to it. This is episode 40 of Straightforward with Miss B. And today I have a special guest. Her name is Miss Wendy M or Wendy Milton. And this is going today is going to be a very, very interesting conversation that I have been wanting to do for quite some time now. And we're going to get into it today, and I hope you guys that are listening in will enjoy it. As well as, learn a few things, use this opportunity to kind of educate yourself on this topic. But let me go ahead and formally introduce my guest. Miss Wendy Milton is a mental health counselor, and she was born and raised in Miami, Florida. She has a master's degree in counseling psychology, specializing in addiction. Her expertise, her experience includes crisis stabilization, along with long term and short term intensive outpatient substance abuse treatment with military veterans and adolescents. And she's serving clients in Washington State and also in the state of Florida. So welcome, Miss Milton.
Hi, so honored to be here for episode 40.
I'm glad you are here with me. And just for you guys out there, Wendy is actually a family member. She's my cousin. She's like a bestie slash cousin. She's like my favorite.
Yay!
She is like my favorite, and she did I guess, a midlife career change, career
I
change,
I did.
and I'm just happy to have her here. I'm glad that she is, aspired to do something else in her life as far as her career, and she's successful at it as well. She's very educated also in the subject matter. So, I wanted to bring her on, and that's one of the things that I think on last episode, on episode 39. I know you guys are probably used to hearing AG, but me and AG, we always kind of kid around and we talk about, the celebrity news and gossip and stuff like that. But this is definitely a different side of me that I wanted to utilize my platform to kind of, put out there in the world. I am very one of those people who, are knowledgeable a lot of different things, and, different things interest me. And one of my core values is to definitely, soak up as much knowledge as I possibly can, but also if I do have a platform, just utilize that platform to, help educate those who may not necessarily, be educated in those areas. So, that is one of the reasons why I wanted to bring her on. But more specifically, a lot's been going on this week. Well, I
Ooh.
would say the last 3 to 4 weeks with this Darrell Brooks trial that's been going on. You caught up with that? I know you've been
I
watching it.
am caught up with Darrell. I am picking and choosing which YouTube blurbs that I watch
Mhm.
because it's a bit overwhelming. I'm confused as to how they deemed him competent because he
Yeah.
is clearly incompetent. And I was watching some of the trial and I was writing some notes.
Mhm.
Now where are they right now? Who knows?
Mhm.
And the judge specifically said that he has had four mental health evaluations
Right.
in a 2 month span of this year, not
Mhm.
even 6 months ago. But this guy is there's no way he's not delusional.
Right.
I mean, just the disrespect of the court system and our legal system, and the claiming to be a sovereign citizen,
Mhm.
which no, no offense to the sovereign citizen, but but United States, and we have laws and rules.
Right. Exactly. Um but yeah, we're gonna definitely, kind of utilize Darrell Brooks for this particular episode as this kind of like an example, a real world example of what's happening to not only Darrell Brooks, but what we see. We're seeing a lot of it, a lot of discussions about mental health. We see, Kanye West and his extremities, as far as things that he's vocalizing within the last couple of weeks as well. There's
Did you
definitely.
listen?
Go
Did you
ahead.
listen to his podcast interview with Lex Friedman?
Some of it. Yeah, I listened to some of it. I didn't really get that far deep. Just the
Mm.
clips that, they post on social media, the highlights, but I didn't listen to the entire thing. Um, but, Darrell Brooks, Kanye West, they're definitely, like I said, they're current day examples of what we can see as far as like someone who could possibly be dealing with some type of mental health issues there. And just for the podcast listeners as a whole, I just thought it would be a great idea to just kind of explore some basics of mental health, and diagnosis, and help listeners be able to kind of help them understand and take away with information that will, assist them in navigating through their own personal experiences, whether it's with family members, friends, peers, co-workers, whomever. Just be able to take away some things. Um, so with Darrell Brooks in particular, I know we wanted to start off this discussion basically just kind of giving people a list of just common mental health issues. I know you told me earlier offline, that there were some common ones that kind of, you know, affect
That
the
we all
everyday
hear about.
person. Yeah.
Right, right, which is anxiety, depression, and the term that gets thrown around very loosely, which is bipolar 1 and 2.
Okay. Well, what's the difference between one and two bipolar?
Ooh. So you want to start it off right up
Yeah,
in
we
it,
got.
don't you?
I want to break it down to the,
Because you know
to the
what? The thing
simplest
about it
terms,
is,
because
is
people
that
don't know. People don't know.
they have this impression that bipolar is you're changing your mood in a moment.
Mhm.
Like, oh, 1 minute she's like this, or 1 minute he's like this, and then the next minute they're like this.
Right.
And that's not that's the modern, I guess, day understanding of it. But bipolar is a new term
Mhm.
for what was manic depressive, and everybody's always heard of manic depressive,
Yeah.
right? So
Mhm.
bipolar is what the American Psychiatric Association chose to name manic depressive.
Okay.
So
So they say
um,
Kanye West, some years ago was diagnosed with being bipolar, and my assumption is that he was given medication, but many people in the, whether it's the Kardashian family or just us people in the public, believes he don't necessarily take his medication, which is why he oftentimes every 6 to 8 months go on these rampages on the internet and in the media.
he actually addressed that in the Lex Friedman interview. He said, I've been off my medicine for 2 years. And it's not verbatim, but it was something to this effect. I've been off my medicine for 2 years, and I'm fine. I sleep at night. And then Lex interrupted and said, "Are you sleeping at night?"
Right.
And Kanye, because we know that he's not,
Right.
right? Like people in his camp have said that he's not sleeping, he's not getting his proper rest, he's in a manic episode. And that's what bipolar is. Bipolar is not changing your mood in the moment, that's just a mood disorder, right?
Mhm.
Bipolar is a long episode of mania and then a long episode of depression, right? So like for a manic episode, it's a distinct period of abnormally and persistently elevated, expansive, or irritable mood, and abnormally and persistently increased goal directed activity or energy, lasting at least 1 week and present most of the day, nearly every day.
Mm.
So during that period of the mood disturbance with the increased energy or activity, there has to be, I'll give you an example of that. Said that he wasn't sleeping during Paris Fashion Week,
Okay.
right? So that's a good example of an increased energy or activity.
Mhm.
So inflated self-esteem or grandiosity,
He has that.
Darrell Brooks and Kanye West,
Yes.
a decreased need for sleep, more talkative than usual or
Mhm.
pressure to keep talking, flight of ideas or subjective experience that thoughts are racing,
Right.
increased in goal directed activity. So that's either socially, at work or school, or sexually. And he has stated in the past that he had some issues with porn addiction,
Yeah.
right? I think that came to surface a couple weeks ago. Um, and then excessive involvements in activities that have a high potential for painful consequences, like sexual indiscretions, foolish business investments,
Mhm.
all of that poses a manic episode. But you see, it has to last at least 1 week and present most of the day, every day. It's
Right.
not because I walked through the door and I saw you sitting your lazy ass on on the phone and I got angry and I was just nice to you on my in the car
Yeah.
while we were on the phone in the car ride.
Mhm.
So they have to have present a manic episode and also a depressive episode, and the depressive episode has to be present for a 2 week period or longer.
Oh, okay.
Right. So it's a and we know the symptoms of depression.
Mhm.
Depressed mood most of the day, nearly every day. A diminished interest or pleasure in all or almost all activities. But see, the thing with Kanye is he would definitely be bipolar one because he has more mania than depression. Bipolar two is an episode of at least one manic occurrence, and then for the most part you have more depression than mania.
Okay.
So that's the difference. So he's definitely bipolar one.
Yeah,
They
he's
did
one.
right. His diagnosis is accurate.
Right.
And yeah, it's long. So anything else would be someone with a mood disorder, because a lot of us, especially
I
a
got
lot
a.
of
I
women.
know I got a mood disorder.
What? What's your mood most of the time?
What?
What's your mood most of the time? Is it happy or
No,
or
I just be
sad or
chill.
mad
Yeah, most of the time I'm just chill. I'm just chill, but
or unbothered?
I can and I do recognize when I have a heightened mood.
Oh,
And that's
okay.
usually when I'm being annoyed, and then annoyance then turns into, you know, kind of on the anger side. And
Mhm.
I've been over the years, well, I know that in my 20s, I would say in my 20s, probably high school as well, that I would get angry
Oh.
quickly, but it something had to trigger me, and usually that trigger would be some form of authority. And I myself don't necessarily like people telling me what to do. And if you do tell me what to do, you it have to be said in a certain way, right? And that could be from
Mhm.
childhood trauma or whatever the case may be, where that trigger comes from. So yeah, but yeah, in high school, I know high school, I used to cuss out teachers, cuss out students. Um, then
I never knew that.
went on to college. Um, like I said, I'll be triggered, cussed out. I cussed out like my band director the year I ended up, leaving the band. Well, I didn't get kicked out. I left the band. I lost my music scholarship as well, but I cussed out the band director like literally on our homecoming day. On our homecoming day,
Are you?
in front of
I never
guests, in
knew
front of
this.
the R&B group H Town. Yeah, I did all of that. So I dealt with that. You know what I'm saying? But I've always recognized that part of my mood. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I'm glad that I was able to recognize that. So, you know,
But your anger was kind of disproportionate to the trigger. You
correct.
could have gotten upset, but not that upset.
Right. Not anger that turns into me being evil and violence, but just anger. You know what I'm saying? Just being
Mhm.
extremely angry. But yeah. So, you know, I the older I got or whatever, like I said, I definitely started recognizing it and knowing how to, I guess, kind of control it. For
Mhm.
me, a way that I kind of dealt with those mood swings, is me just simply removing myself from the situation or from the person.
Okay.
So just leaving. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, removing yourself from the
Right,
situation.
right. Just removing
Right.
myself from the situation. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I can still, you still have those moments. Well, I still had those moments to where I'll cuss somebody out. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's nothing to me
Mhm.
to cuss somebody out. But me being knowledgeable of that particular mood swing, it's like I know when to do it and when not to do it. You know what I'm saying?
And that's growth, I guess, and maturity.
Right. Right. But I know I
It you
I
you
do
know
have
that.
that temperament. You know what I mean? Those changes in temperament. But it's
It's nice to know that you should you can't be a functioning part of society
right.
with that attitude.
Correct.
Like there's no way you can be successful. You know what I mean? Like successful and be a and have social connections, and you're very well known in the community
Mhm.
and your magazine, and especially being a journalist.
Right.
Like being a because you're a journalist, you don't want to be out here cursing people out
Was
of
a
character.
journalist.
Was a journalist, but it's your it's your niche.
Yeah.
It's your thing.
Media in
You know.
just in general, yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
and I like my coins. So, I'm not going to
Definitely,
do
it's about the
anything.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do too much where I know it's going to negatively affect my coins.
Correct. Attitude or no attitude. Right. We trying to live out here, and we can't
Right.
live like that. Right. And I notice a lot of people with that personality, they become entrepreneurs because they cannot. They well, not cannot. They don't respect authority,
Right.
and they don't want to be told. So they have to start their own business
Mhm. Yeah.
because they don't want rules.
Right.
No, thank you.
Right. Now, the big story, that's been going on that everybody's been following, of course, we mentioned it earlier, the Darrell Brooks trial.
Okay.
Of course, we're not going to kind of go, into the details of the trial itself, but just more of, you know, him wilding out. He was definitely showing just some manic episodes and being erratic and, just going off and just total disrespect for the court, the judge, the other attorneys, the jury. I'm like, dude. So what do
You
you
know,
think? What do you think his diagnosis is?
I think he's definitely delusional.
Mhm.
Um, which type of delusion? Because there is no way he could. Everything was ridiculous. Everything was nonsensical. Like nothing he said was fact based. I'm just surprised that, and I guess that's just how our legal system is that someone that is out of touch with reality, right?
Mhm.
Because it is out of touch with reality to think that you could represent yourself in a murder case.
Right.
And it's not far fetched if you are intelligent, but he is obviously out of touch with reality, you know, and he's there, and it's a case study between him and Kanye. But a lot of reminded me of Kanye in the interview.
Mhm.
When you push back facts,
Right.
factual
Yeah.
information, documented information, the other person talks in circles. They never give you direct answers. I
Right.
mean, the things that he was. Did you see when his ex-girlfriend was on trial?
Yeah.
When
Mhm.
he called, like nothing he asked of her made sense.
Nothing at all. And I'm glad that she stood firm. You know what I'm saying? She stood firm in her answers to him. She was direct, to the point. And the judge was just like, "Come on, dude. You just keep what are you talking about? You keep asking her the same thing over and over
It's
and over.
irrelevant.
And it's
Everything,
irrelevant."
everything was. He's bizarre, right? Like like everything was clearly understandable, um, and derived from a figment of his imagination.
Right.
Yeah. And then I saw the closing arguments, and um he was rambling about the car had a recall, and he doesn't understand how it was murder if he was honking his horn. Like, and if they didn't move out the way, then it's not murder.
Right.
But you were driving in a parade.
Right.
You know, and in the United States, we can we can almost, I think by law, like force someone into medical care, but not psychiatric care.
Mm.
Like if they're not, like, people talk about a lot of the homeless population that are suffering from mental illness or homelessness or whatever, or someone like a Darrell Brooks, like your cousin or your nephew, that
Mhm.
seems a little off, you know, and
Right.
always speak, having bizarre conversations, or like so ingrained with them with conspiracy theories that, they think that it's true,
Mhm.
and there's nothing that we could do for them if they don't want help. If they don't initiate, unless they are of harm to themselves or others,
Right.
right? And they're just in the room, and that way you can bring the legal system in. But then even that's a 72-hour hold in most states,
Yeah.
and you can't force them to follow up on the resources.
Right.
Can't force them to go to outpatient and pick up their medication and try to get some counseling and try to like bring them back to earth with us.
Mhm.
There's nothing that we can do. So someone like Darrell Brooks, who's clearly incompetent, right? Because he's living in another world, obviously. There. I'm like, I feel for his family, because what could they do? Not as though he was right, but he's not well,
Yeah.
and there's nothing that they could do for him. And I'm sure he hasn't been well for years.
Yeah, I mean, I think the mom had spoke on that as well. Like he's been suffering from, mental health these episodes since, he was a child. But like you
Wow.
said, what can you do? You can't force them, force
Mm-mm,
them to
mm-mm.
seek treatment and be on medication. And then, I guess on the flip side of that, maybe can understand why the laws and everything I can understand why they don't force that on. Like you can't force somebody into maybe a facility or whatnot because mental, I guess, mental issues. First of all, is something that you can't necessarily. Well,
You can't see.
you can't
Like,
see it. You may
yeah.
not understand it. You know what I mean? Because all of us got, like you said, all of us might have a crazy cousin, crazy uncle who just be talking crazy. But that don't necessarily mean, you know what I'm saying? That don't necessarily mean
that
that
they're a
they're
part
suffering.
themselves or someone else.
Right. Right. Or they're suffering, with some type of mental issue. We don't necessarily know that. They just, they just might be a little what's the word? Eccentric.
Yes, yes. Like your crazy auntie that wears polka dots and plaid
Right. You like what the fuck?
and boots on at the end of July, and it's like 90 degrees
Boots and
outside, and you're like,
furs.
yeah, she's just different. She's just artsy.
Right.
Yeah, and creative minds, right? Like
Yeah.
creative minds think out of the box.
Mhm.
They're very open minded. They are they embrace any and everything. That's how they pull their creativity, and
Right.
I think that's why how Kanye has been able to get so far.
Mhm.
Like it. I'm sure his inner circle was very well aware that there were some issues. Now I'm going to even take it a step further,
Mhm.
right? I'm sure Kim knew he had some issues, right?
Yes.
It's because it's clear, right?
Mhm.
But being a
Unless he was
child,
just on his best behavior though. You know what I'm saying? He could have been just
sometimes they can mask it,
yeah.
right? Right. They can mask it and um be able to overcome those thoughts and put on an act
Mhm.
just long enough, right? But eventually it comes out. And I'll never forget a tweet he tweeted when he was running for president the first time.
Mhm.
And she said, be patient with us because you guys have no idea how it is to live with somebody who's not taking their medication, right? And I kind of feel bad for her because maybe she thought that she could help him or she could fix him or that he could be controlled as long as they were in love. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Like he'll take his medicine because he doesn't want to lose me,
Right.
or he'll take his medicine because he knows what we have and he doesn't want to lose this. And, they have a really tight family and they embraced him in their family. And then as
Mhm.
soon as she didn't want him, he just lost his fucking mind. And I feel for her on that.
Right. Right.
I do. I feel for her. To go on stage and say that you were going to abort North, you know,
Yeah, that was crazy.
I,
That was crazy. I think they
that was the
definitely
last
knew
straw, I
about
think.
it. Remember back when I believe the French like insurance company that was handling his tours and stuff. Remember when he was over in Europe and stuff? They was trying to sue him and then he was I forgot what album that was from. It wasn't Watch the Throne. No, but remember when he started blurbing all this stuff about Jay-Z and Beyonce and all of that shit. I
So
think
that was
I
after
think that
they
might have been
didn't
the
come to the
first time
wedding.
the public really, you know, got a chance to just kind of see it. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Mhm. I think that was after they didn't go to the wedding.
Oh,
And
okay.
remember that was in Europe. I don't know
Mhm.
if it was Ireland or France, but it was in Europe. And now we see 10 years later that probably after the Taylor Swift incident, right? Which was narcissism at its best.
Right.
Probably had to start separating themselves, and they're probably not regretting that now because they've distanced themselves so far away from him because he's completely gone now.
Right. Yeah.
And everybody assumed that they distanced themselves because of Kim, but they may have distanced themselves because of him, and his behavior. Because during Watch the Thrones, they fell out.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
It is
It's
sad.
it's very very sad because he's our person.
Yeah.
That's our person. That's our generation right there. Like college dropout.
Mhm. Yeah. 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 I mean, I'm definitely gonna continue to support, Kanye in his musical efforts and maybe some, some fashion efforts as well. Um, but yeah, it's definitely gotten to the point where, I don't really blame the Kardashian family for, just kind of separating themselves because like you said, you just never know. You never know if whatever the mental episode that's happening is going to escalate into something, more dangerous. And
You know,
considering him
my
and the kids
clinical
and stuff like that, you
my
know,
clinical manager said that to me. She said Kim should be scared.
I
Kim
would be
should be
scared.
afraid. I had not thought of that.
I
I
definitely
had
would be
not
scared.
thought of that, of him being a danger,
Hmm.
but she got 40 years in the game, so she knows, the behaviors. And
Right,
she said, yeah, she should be afraid.
right. And he just, I mean, I know I would be afraid, and that would be, definitely another reason why, hey, I might not necessarily want you around the kids. Who's to say you
Yeah.
might do something to the kids,
Or
or or,
just kill everybody
or
and
just
himself too.
wipe everybody out and say, hey, if
Hmm.
you shoot, if I can't have you, nobody else can. That type of situation. I look at these true crime shows all the time. And I'm seeing these type of cases every day. I just watched something. I don't know if you watched the Unsolved Mysteries new season on Netflix, but they got a black girl around our age on there. She done dismembered a boyfriend in Detroit, and
Oh, I didn't get to that
she's been on the
episode.
run since 2018. They ain't found this black girl yet, and she was with him for 6 months. They say she was very possessive, and one day she just shot him in the head, and then she shot him in the head in the apartment. And I guess because his body was gonna be too heavy for her to kind of carry herself. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I guess she didn't have no. Well, she apparently she felt as though she didn't have no other choice but to cut his body up in three pieces
What?
and dumped him alongside the highway. And she's just been on the run. I mean, a regular looking girl, look just like us.
And you know what? And I tell a lot of my clients that, like, these things that are happening that we see on the news, these are everyday people. They're
Yeah.
just like us. So
Hmm.
don't think that anything you see is it does not apply to you.
Right. Right.
These are everyday people on Snapped.
Hmm.
These are everyday people. That was an everyday couple in the burning bed. You remember the burning bed?
Yeah, I sure do.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. These are everyday working people, you know, working class people
Hmm.
that snap.
That snap.
So
Right.
just imagine somebody who loses 2 billion.
Right. Exactly.
I
His
mean,
back up against the wall. He might feel as though it is, and the only way out is to cause harm.
or just to take everybody out because nobody deserves to live, because he thinks he's God. Let me
Right.
go to the clinical definition of narcissism. We can go
Yeah, we
right into
definitely
that.
need to talk about that one because
A
every
pervasive,
that word is used so much,
well, and a lot of times they're right.
and a lot of times they right. Right.
Yeah, they like bipolar, like they dead on with the narcissism.
Mhm.
A pervasive pattern of grandiosity, fantasy, or behavior, a need for admiration, a lack of empathy, which he certainly does not have for the Jewish community, right?
Right.
Um, and it begins in early adulthood and present in a variety of contexts. So they have to have a grandiose sense of self importance, exaggerates achievements and talents,
Mhm.
expects to be recognized as superior without commensurate achievements. Now, wait, let's stop right there because
Right.
Kanye
Kanye
in
have
the
achieved a lot though.
yeah, but when he was the interview with Lex Friedman,
Hmm.
he and the one with Tucker Carlson, he kept saying how nobody and Chris Cuomo, nobody calls me a billionaire. No one calls me a billionaire. I'm the richest black man. And he said, I'm the richest everything. I'm the richest actor. Where have you been, Kanye? What are you talking about? I'm the richest actor. I'm the richest musician. I'm a I'm a legend. There are a lot of legends. You know, you're not the only creative genius, right? But the the grandiosity of his thoughts, as though he's better than everyone. He
Yeah.
is he an actor? I meant to Google it. Has he been in any movies?
No. Some
Okay.
video.
He's preoccupied with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love. Girl, if that's not him,
Yeah.
because he listen, he could not explain how it is that he is a Jew. So when Lex Friedman said, "You're Jewish," you're saying that you're a black
Hebrew.
Hebrew
Hmm.
Jewish man. He said, "No, I'm not. I'm a Jew."
But he
And the
couldn't
guy is
provide
Jewish.
context.
What does that
Right.
mean? Delusional.
Hmm.
Um.
That's what I said the week before last on my Sunday night, YouTube lives. That's what I said. I said Kanye is somebody who, you know, I don't necessarily want to call him crazy. I just want to call him, misunderstood. Misunderstood because a lot of times when he does say something, he could be he could be making a good point. However, because you're speaking to thousands and thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who's tuning in to what you're saying, you have to provide some context. You have to, you have to kind of give us background. Everybody, we're not all living in your head. So we don't know what you're talking about. And then you yourself need to be educated enough. If you're going to claim something, you need to be educated enough on it. So if you're calling yourself a Jew or you're going against Jews or, whatever the case may be, you need to be able to thoroughly explain that because of the level that you are and the platform that he has is huge, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
And most times when he talk, he leaves out so much that we all just kind of be, not all of us, but some of us just be baffled. Like, what are you talking
Well,
about, dude?
he makes blanket statements, and
Hmm.
that's what the interviewer was attempting to show him. Those people that you have dealt with have wronged you, not the Jewish person that's walking down the street. The Jewish
Right,
person walking down the street is not a part of the Jewish media and
right.
the mob that you keep saying. And just the lack of accountability,
Hmm.
the lack of empathy.
Now that's narcissistic.
Yeah, it's not. But now it lets you know that I don't think he's misunderstood. I think he's sick.
I mean,
Yeah,
we
I think
already know he's sick.
right.
We already know that part. We already know that part.
because I tell a lot of people, like, when you have a relative, or when you have a friend and you know them, right? And you know them for their flaws, for their goods and their bad, right? And their bads may be a little bit more than good.
Hmm.
But you know them and you know their history, right? And you know why they are who they are. When they walk out into the street and they go into Target and they disrespect someone, the police don't have time to be thinking about why you mad and what happened to you when you were 7,
That's true.
as to why you're acting out right now
Yeah,
today. So just like Kanye, we don't have, like,
we ain't got time.
we don't care about you. You know, you had a mental break, and we've seen the break from the time your mom passed. And if I knew that contributed in some way to my mother's death because I paid for her cosmetic surgery, then I would, maybe I would have a little resentment towards the industry. You know what I mean? Because that's what it
Mhm.
seems though. Like he's just turned on the industry. He wants to make his own world and own planet because of his heartbreak and grief.
Yeah.
But nobody has time to psychoanalyze you. No, we don't have time for that. You are not Jewish and you are not making sense. And you should take your medication. And when he said, I haven't taken my medication in 2 years, he said, I know some people are saying, yeah, we know.
We can
Oh, we can
tell.
tell. Yeah, something like that. He said, and the interviewer just laughed.
Mhm.
But it's sad, and it lets us know how I guess money and influence and mental health is a dangerous combination.
Right, because he definitely does not have people around him that's holding him accountable. At least Kim tried. You know what I'm saying?
I think she did because she doesn't want her image ruined.
Right.
Because like,
But
what
I'm
is
saying
her
the people
image?
around there is no one around him today that's
They're afraid. He cuts their
holding him
check.
accountable.
If I speak up, I know that this dude will. They said during Paris Fashion Week he fired publicists, he fired advisors. So if you go against him, you might can't feed your kids. So I guess it's like
Right.
morals versus money, huh?
Yeah, the people around him gonna, have to do the old, um pull a slick one and start, crushing up his medication and slipping it in his drink or food or something, just so he'll be able to take it.
What do you think about mental health? Think that him admitting that he has a mental health issue years ago, so we know that's true. We know it's not a. We know that's not fake news, right? We know, and he's admitted that time and time again. What do you think about the example he's setting for others as far as not getting treatment, not taking his medication, and then still having some type of following?
I think it is detrimental because he has a lot of young followers, and supporters, fans, whatever you want to call them. I think it's definitely detrimental. I mean, someone with that big of a platform, I believe that it is, and I know a lot of celebrities, they hate to be called like role models or whatnot, but it's almost like you have somewhat of a, civic duty, civic duty when you reach a certain status, to be able to, you want to do what you want to do, of course. You know what I'm saying? You want to live your life the
Mm-hmm.
way that you want to live it. Um, However, I think that that's just part of, like I said, him taking accountability is just knowing that, hey, I have this huge following. I have a lot of people that, listen to my every word. Shoot, even stuff that I report on with Kanye West. I see his little fans his little fans be in the comments. They might say something crazy. So it's like people really be listening to his every word. They look at
Mm-hmm.
everything that he does, the good and the bad. So with him just being promoting not taking medication, I just think that's a bad idea. It's definitely a bad idea. But, at the end of the day, people
It's
still
sad
just
it's
gonna do
sad to
what they
watch
want to
it
do.
play out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad to watch it play out. But it's like what you're doing now, like just getting the information out there,
Mhm.
right? Like if you have these symptoms, or if especially depression, right? Because we just got out of COVID. Some people are just now getting back on their feet, getting their life together.
Right.
especially those that had just opened businesses prior to COVID and things of that nature, that, it's okay. It's okay to get help. It's okay to go
Yeah,
talk to
it's
someone.
okay. I mean, the world
Yeah.
the world we live in now, I would say that maybe the last decade, that the mental health discussion has just kind of been out there on the forefront. So, people won't necessarily feel as ashamed to go out and seek help, go to therapy or counseling or whatever the case may be. It's okay. It's okay to do that.
And it's okay to get like, because counselors slash therapists, they we're trained not to give advice, right? We're trained to listen and then ask the questions
Hmm.
so that you can get to the answer,
Right.
right? So, yeah, after the relationship develops and we have good rapport, then maybe, you can drop seeds of wisdom and seeds of knowledge and advice along the way. But we're really just there to be non-judgmental and listen,
Hmm.
you know? I'm telling you, it's so juicy. I love it. It's always
Shit, I should
something.
have been a goddamn psychologist.
Especially now, because now that it's so
Because I
popular.
like to listen. And people always call me for advice.
Well, yeah, I always call you for advice
Yeah.
when I'm in crisis.
The
Really?
goddamn
Yeah,
counselor
good therapist.
called me for advice. Ain't that some shit?
Yeah, because you know what? They always say good therapists have a therapist.
Right.
And I have a therapist. And he a little old white man. And I would have never picked him out of a lineup, but he does wonders. I mean, he is just the coolest little old guy ever. Yeah. Yeah, he's been an awesome, awesome help for me, because when you listen to problems all day, you're exhausted, right? Like you're
Right.
emotionally exhausted.
Mm-hmm. Right. Now, before we get out of here, we
Okay.
talked about Kanye, somebody who has a big platform that has been diagnosed with, being bipolar, um, has medication that he could be on, should be on. Someone like Darrell Brooks, who, as you mentioned, seems as though he suffers from delusion, um, narcissism, like delusion. Is there medication for that?
So they have antipsychotics. They have
Oh, okay.
antipsychotics. So
Hmm.
you have your antidepressants. We'll break that down on another another
Episode.
podcast. Yeah,
Hmm.
another episode. And then you have the antipsychotics.
Hmm.
Um, when you are out of touch with reality, you're probably in a psychotic episode,
Okay.
right? Um, he has that disorganized speech. It's like he's always derailing from what the point is, never giving a direct answer.
Right.
Um, so in my opinion, he definitely has some symptoms of psychosis, which is next level.
Hmm.
That is not where anxiety, depression, and sometimes bipolar, because all of those could have a psychotic feature to it, right?
Right.
But he's definitely out of touch with reality, and there is something that he could take along with counseling. So when you get to the psychosis level and you're
Hmm.
out of touch with reality, medication is most preferred
Right.
by the medical community. you know Whereas anxiety and depression, a lot of people may want to choose or opt for psychotherapy first.
Hmm.
Let me try this. Also, just to put out there, when you're suffering from like a low grade anxiety and depression, or it may be situational, or you're going through a divorce, you know, or you're grieving of a lost one, or some type of change or transition in life. If you take an antidepressant, which may treat anxiety or depression, right? It doesn't have to be permanent. Like,
Right.
and that's something that some people don't understand. Just because you take it right now, you do the work, you get a therapist, you work on those issues that you have, and then your doctor, your physician can always wean you off later.
Hmm.
It doesn't have to be something that you take for the rest of your life. But if you're going through a troubled time, it would be, it could help you sleep at
Yeah.
night.
It would
You know,
what's
and
the
not
word?
worry.
Behoove you
Yes. And you can focus
to take
because,
the meds.
when that anxiety and depression sink in, you can't focus. You can't focus. You're constantly worrying, you know. You
Right.
you you can't get your work done and be efficient, and a productive part of society when you're dealing with anxiety and depression. So yeah, just so that people know, that's something that I find myself saying to clients 2 3 times a week. If you take something, you don't have to, but if you choose to, it's not permanent.
Right.
You take it and you do the work to improve and work on those weaknesses, and then you can wean yourself off later.
Yeah. Well, you guys out there that's tuning into the podcast, um, we definitely learned some things today. And if you know of anybody that, like I said, that's close to you, that may be suffering, and if you do know for a fact that they may have been diagnosed at some point and may have been, given medication to take, and you know that they're not taking it, definitely try your best to help encourage them, encourage them to take it, let them know, hey, this doesn't have to be a lifelong thing. Definitely utilize it for that temporary help that they
Now,
need.
if you seeing things and hearing people,
Now you might need
you might have to take it for a while.
you might need to go sit down somewhere.
Don't let the voices get to you.
Don't let the
You know,
voices get to you. And that's another
yeah,
thing with you specializing on the addiction part of it. We definitely have to talk about that. Like I said, on the next time we get together on a podcast here, talk about that part, how addiction affects.
yeah, and it is tackling the black community. So we got to talk about it.
One perky at a time.
Oh, and give me a little fent. Give me a little fentanyl, baby.
Yeah, a little
Because nothing
fentanyl, a
is
little
what they think it
perky up
is.
perks.
Yeah. Or perks mixed with a little fentanyl.
Yeah,
You never know what's in
you never know what's in it. That's for sure. That
it.
is for sure. All righty. Well, I think we definitely had a good discussion today.
Thank you for having me.
You are so very welcome. Before we get out of here, is there anything that you would like to tell the guest? I mean, the audience, listeners.
Tune in for part 2 of our mental health discussion
Yes, I don't know. When do you want to do a part
before the
two?
end of the year, you think?
Oh yeah, way
November.
before then.
Okay. Okay. All
Shoot, I
right.
was thinking maybe like, I don't know, maybe episode 45, 46, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we
not
did
too
depression
not
and
too
bipolar.
far. Yeah, not too far out, because we want to
So
still
we'll do
keep it
anxiety
fresh
and
on people's
depression.
on people's minds. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to
We
do
don't
it
know
too
what
spaced out.
Kanye would have done in another couple weeks. So yeah, we'll have enough to talk
Yeah.
about. Okay.
So everybody definitely get ready for this second part. Like I said, when it comes to just mental health issues, it shit gets deep. So, and it's different various facets of it as well. Different diagnoses. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Diagnosis. Okay.
Diagnoses.
Diagnoses.
Mhm.
So it is definitely a lot to cover. But hey, we got the time and we got the platform to do that. So we will. So thank you very much, everybody, as always, for tuning in to this is episode 40 again of Straightforward with Ms.B. You can check us out on all podcast streaming platforms: Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, Amazon, SoundCloud. We're everywhere. Definitely check us out, and then also follow us on social media at STR, the number 8FWD, MSB, IG, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, of course. Follow us and tune in on Sundays, YouTube Live, group chat. We always have fun on that, covering the hot topics. And until next time, peace.